Welcome to this hybrid meeting of the Democratic Services Committee, which is open to the press and public. We welcome the use of Welsh language at meetings. I've had no requests for people to speak Welsh today, so this meeting will be conducted in English only. Please can members use the raised hand icon to indicate when you want to speak, and remember, keep your microphone muted when you are not talking. May I remind members that the statutory guidance made under Section 4 of the Local Government Wales Measure 2011 and our formally adopted hybrid meeting policy, any member attending a meeting remotely must be able to be seen and be heard by the members and officers who are attending the meeting, as well as by members of the public viewing the meeting. So can I ask that you all please use your cameras for the duration of the meeting? Thank you. And before I start the meeting, I'd like to thank the previous chair for all the work he's done with this committee. So that's a thanks from me. Moving on to the agenda. Agenda item 1 is welcome and apologies. Dominique, do we have any apologies?
I have no apologies, Chair.
Thank you. If not, we'll move on to item 2, declarations of interest. Members, do you have any interest to declare?
No.
No? We're all quiet.
Not that I'm aware of. No.
No, that's great. Thanks for that. We'll then move on to agenda item 3, which is the minutes of the Democratic Service Committee held on the 30th of January 2025. Members, could you possibly state whether you have anything to raise in relation to the minutes? And if not, I will take them as approved. Anybody got any issues? No? No, thank you for that then. We'll move on to item 4 then, which is the action sheet. Members, the action sheet includes updates on what has been done to implement the committee's previous decisions. There are currently no outstanding actions. Okay? If now we'll move on to agenda item 5, which is the hybrid meeting guidance. Jason Lewis, Director of Corporate Services and Head of Democratic Services, could you present the report for us, please?
Thank you, Chair, and good morning, members. The purpose of this report today is to seek the views of this committee on any revisions or amendments that are felt necessary to the hybrid meeting policy. This policy was introduced following the pandemic, when it became clear that hybrid working would be a permanent feature for us. It's due for review as we become more accustomed to with working remotely. As a reminder, the Local Government and Election Wales Act 2021 requires the Council to hold meetings without all or any of its members being physically present in a room. The Act allows for remote meetings through electronic and digital means, using Teams, live webcasting and live interactive streaming. Torfaen's Democratic Services Committee members were given the opportunity to consider the hybrid policy and offer any suggestions or changes to the policy at their meeting on the 9th of February 2022. The policy was then referred on to Cabinet and Council for approval and was subsequently adopted as an appendix to the Council's Constitution. For information, at a meeting of the Ethics and Standards Committee on the 6th of February 2025, concerns were expressed about members' attendance at meetings, the use of cameras at meetings, the feasibility of committee meeting minutes providing a more detailed record of members joining and leaving during the duration of meetings, voting rights and attendance status of any members joining a meeting with a camera off and not engaging through the meeting. The committee requested that inquiries be made with other local authorities around any arrangements they may have in place to address similar issues. In summary, the following feedback was received from other authorities. First was on occasions when a remote participant may need to disable their camera, the participant is expected to use the chat function to inform the meeting chair and Democratic Services staff of the issue and reason for their camera being disabled. One of the main concerns around the use of cameras is the transparency and accountability surrounding the voting process and knowing that members have heard the full discussion. Members should be more aware that questions could be raised over their right to vote should they not be visible during the meeting. If members have their cameras off for the whole meeting without dispensation from the chair and don't participate, there should be no guarantee that they're able to vote. In the main, members are marked as in attendance, even if their cameras are or have been disabled. In response to concerns expressed by the Ethics and Standards Committee in relation to partial meeting attendance, paragraph 4.3 of the report provides some detail in relation to the prevalence of members leaving meetings early. Chapter 1, Part 4 of the 2011 measure states that members in remote attendance are able to see and hear and be seen and heard by the members in actual attendance. It's important that members are visible to other participants during any meeting they are attending. It's important that members are seen to be engaged in the democratic process. Our hybrid meeting policy states that participants must remain in view of the camera at all times and a professional appearance must be upheld at all times. Meetings are often broadcast live and recorded and made available to the public via our website, so it's important that members conduct themselves as they would in any public meeting. The WLGA have provided some guidance for information which is attached as Appendix 2 to the report. Therefore, the recommendations are that the committee today note the content of this report and in particular the expectations set out in the hybrid meetings policy, that members must remain in view of the camera at all times and that professional appearance must be upheld at all times, and also to consider the hybrid multi-location meetings policy and to comment and or suggest any additions and or changes that the committee feel will improve governance of meetings and expectations around standards of meetings. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you for that. Has any members got any questions or comments that you'd like to ask Jason at all? Councillor Burnett, would you like to ask?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Thank you, Jason. Yeah, I mean, lots of these concerns they come up year after year, and it's especially members' attendances at scrutiny meetings. There's always a concern. It's always got to be looked into. But as we all know, this is a situation going on for years. So I think what should put out in this meeting as well is the rules of attending meetings and the rules of attending anything at council. I think it's once in every 6 months, and you find that in some places that is the norm. Some people just turn up once and keep in compliance. So I think we should put in the meeting as well what the rules are of attendance and what is when you're compliant or out of compliance. So what are the rules there of attending meetings? Okay.
Did you want to come back in with that, Jason, now, or do you want to wait for the next question?
No, that's helpful, Councillor Burnett. We'll take that on board. Thank you.
Do you need to come back with anything,
thank you, Jason.
Councillor Burnett? Or?
No, that's fine. As long as Jason takes that on, that's fine.
Well, thank you for that anyway. Councillor Thomas, would you like to speak?
Thank you, Chair. Just referring to 4.3 on the agenda there, I see that we can identify members leaving the meetings early. I just wondered whether we're going to actually incorporate that in the minutes of the meeting. Because I think when we were just meeting and we had our minutes recorded on paper, there was always a little side item in there. If a member left early, it would be recorded in the minutes. And I wondered whether we can identify when members leave, and I think that should be actually recorded in the minutes of the meeting. Thank you, Chair.
Yeah.
Thank you, Councillor Thomas. That's a helpful suggestion. I guess it's for this committee to consider that suggestion as to whether they would wish to adopt that. There's no issue from our perspective in adopting that record within the minutes.
Are you okay with that, Councillor Thomas, or do you want to come back with anything?
I think that is, I'd be happy with that. I think that reflects what we used to do in the past councils. Thank you.
Sorry, I guess the question is to the further members, are they content that that's something that we adopt going forward?
Chair, I've got my hand up. I think Catherine has. So
yeah. You're next in line, row, Councillor Seaborn. If you'd like to come in. Yeah.
Thank you. I would fully support Councillor Thomas on this. I actually requested it at full council because you haven't any idea of who's leaving, who's left, who's made the decision, unless it's a recorded vote. So, and we always used to record when members left, when they came in. If they left before the vote, they couldn't come back in after, and that type of discipline. I think we've lost a lot of the discipline within our meetings at this moment in time. So I would support Councillor Thomas.
Yeah, that's been agreed by Jason here. Councillor Benella, you've got a question? Do you know what?
Yeah, it's additional comment. Thank you, Colette. I agree with that, completely agree with that. I also think maybe to add when councillors arrive late, purely because it has to be factual and correct. And I think for the paper trail, now it's mostly digital, I think it's important that we do represent everything as factually incorrect. So I agree with all of it to be noted.
Yeah, Jason's agreed with you on that, so hopefully that'll be something we can look at going forward. Did you want to come back with any supplementary with that, Councillor Benella? No. Councillor Watkins, you're down for the next question, please.
Thank you. Yeah, it's just for a bit of clarity, really. I think I completely agree with all the thinking behind it. I think the big concern is that if people aren't part of the conversation or listening to the answers to questions and things, then it's very difficult for them to have an opinion on voting, or as Councillor Burnett picked up, have their attendance recorded as being there when maybe they're not, you know, for enough of it. But my question is, or just for clarity, I know that it sometimes happens that people are sort of quite poorly, like the councillor might be quite poorly, but well enough to attend a meeting. So they might, I know it's happened to me in the past, you sort of think, well, I'll keep my camera off, but I can listen and I can take part, but obviously, you know, I don't particularly want people to see me this poorly. Would that be a case where you could get the chair's permission to keep your camera off, or is that not acceptable? You've got to have it on, what, you know, regardless, so that we can see you participating.
Thanks, Councillor Watkins. I think that's totally reasonable if in those sort of circumstances, as long as the member makes contact with the chair and seeks that dispensation, I don't see any problem with that at all.
Okay, thank you.
Did you want to come back with anything, Councillor Watkins, or are you okay with that?
No, I think that's fine. That's quite a clear answer. Yeah. So I think as long as you liaise with the chair and explain your reasonings. So just so I suppose there is one extra part. Would it just be on trust then? That obviously you've arranged with the chair. There's a very valid reason. So we're just on trust then that you are listening, you are participating if necessary.
I think it has to be, Councillor Watkins. Yeah, there's got to be a trust there, hasn't there? You know, it's there is an expectation there that there is a participation, even if the camera is off, and just that's got to be taken on trust.
Okay, thank you.
Any more questions before we move on to the recommendation? No, everybody okay? Well, the recommendations are on page 15. Hopefully we've all read them. Do you agree with the recommendations? Can we have a show of hands? Yeah. Yeah. Anybody against the recommendation? Anybody abstaining? No? Great, thank you for that. We'll now move on to agenda item 6. This is the member satisfaction survey results. And Jason Rose, Director of Corporate Services and Head of Democratic Services, could you present the report, please?
Sorry, Councillor Evans, can I just interrupt? Have we not got to look at part 2 of the recommendations to consider if we want to make any additions or changes to the policy? Is that not why we're discussing it?
Yeah, I think those will be captured now with Jason mentioning it you about taking it forward. Are we okay with that, Del? Yeah.
As you already can hear me, members, but I think it's been implied that all members, as per the discussion, have agreed to those additions to the policy, because it's already been discussed. So there hasn't been any members voting against that. So I think we've assumed that that's been agreed.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for that anyway. So Jason,
Okay, thanks. I'm pleased to introduce the Member Satisfaction Survey Results Report today, which presents feedback from members on the support that they receive from Democratic and Member Services and scrutiny teams. The annual survey is a key tool in helping us understand how well members feel supported in their roles and where improvements can be made. The survey was open for 5 weeks and we received responses from 45% of members. The highlights of the report are that a 26% increase in satisfaction with the quality of the service provided by the Democratic Member Services team. 100% of members feel well supported by the scrutiny team and believe scrutiny committees are considering the right issues. There has been a notable improvement in perceptions of scrutiny's effectiveness in holding the executive to account. Engagement with the public in scrutiny processes improved significantly over the past 2 years. However, 53.8% of members identify constraints to effective scrutiny, including member knowledge and attendance at pre-agenda meetings. Executive members also responded positively, with 100% stating that scrutiny makes an impact and works well across policy development and performance monitoring. The report includes an action plan which has been pulled together in response to the survey. That's attached to the report at Appendix B, and members are invited to note the survey results, review and discuss the current action plan, and then suggest additional actions to strengthen member support and address areas for improvement. Thank you.
thank you for that, Jason. Has any members got any questions or comments they would like to ask about the report? Councillor Seaborn, would you like to come in?
Yes, please, Chair. I'm a bit disappointed. 45% of responses. That's less than half the councillors. I'm just wondering whether or not we could actually do this annual survey, because it's going to be an annual survey, in a different way, maybe at committee when members are present, because we get loads of emails through and it's very often, you know, easily missed for just a survey of something, rather than getting the full response of at least 80% of members.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor Seaborn. So as you'll be aware, because obviously you're chair of scrutiny and sit on other scrutiny committees, we do our post-evaluation, but obviously that doesn't take in the account of other members who may not sit on scrutiny or of other committees, and then the member services support. So, but we could certainly look at bringing it in for perhaps some other committees, but obviously I can only speak on the scrutiny aspect, but we do our post-scrutiny surveys after each meeting.
Are you okay with that, Councillor Seaborn, or do you want to come back in the second?
Yeah, it's just the 45% response on the annual survey is seems very low. You know, out of 40 members, it's there's only a few that's actually responding, isn't there?
Yeah, thank you for that. We get Tom to come in now and give some statement.
Yeah, I mean, we send it out over email, and then there has been reminders sent out as well. You know, we'll reflect on that, whether it's whether we do it perhaps in September next year. I don't know, when members are back, and then, you know, it's easier to give them reminders, because we'll be more in contact with them in person. You know, after the summer recess, that might be an idea. I worry a bit about doing it, you know, sitting all members down, and it almost feel like we're putting them back in a classroom and making them complete the survey in front of us. So yeah, we'll have a think about that. But I do agree that 45% is disappointing, and we would like to get more views from more members next year.
Perhaps we could. Chair. Perhaps we could take it back to the group leaders and get their encouragement to their members to answer the response.
Thanks for that, Councillor Seaborn. Councillor Watkins, you've got a question as well?
To be honest, it's on the same thing, because I was don't know, surprised, disappointed that it's only 45%. As Rose said, that's less than half. But I think, yeah, the difficulty is partly, I guess, because they're anonymous, and partly so knowing who is it, somebody consistently not filling them out each year, you know, and how we go about that. I think it's definitely something he's looking at. I think Rose's last suggestion about going through to the group leaders, who then can encourage their group to do it, you know, might be a good angle to look at. But I just wanted to comment on that. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for that. Any more questions before we move on to the recommendations? No. The recommendations are on page 187. Hopefully you previously read them. Do members agree with the recommendations? We have a show of hands. Anybody against? And anybody abstaining? No. Thank you for that then. That's been agreed. We then move on to agenda item 7. That's the date and time of the next meeting, which will be agreed in due course, and members of the committee will be notified. So thank you everyone this morning for their attendance and their contribution with their questions. I will now close the meeting, and thanks very much for turning up.